Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for not attending my mom's wedding because it's on the day my dad died? My mom is finally getting married to my stepdad after many years together. Super small backyard wedding, etc. It's very informal. She invited a small group of friends and family via Facebook message. Less than 10 people. No venue bookings or anything, just at the house. I'll let her know that the date she chose is my dad's death date, and that's a weird day to have a wedding. I still struggle with his death a lot. Cancer. I'll let her know that's a weird date, and I'm not sure I can be present and happy on this day, and that it was really weird. Context: when my dad passed, we were all there. It was very traumatic for me to watch him die, and also the stuff that happens after, getting taken away in a body bag from the house etc. It was only 4 years ago. My mom was always very jealous through his illness that we didn't spend any time with her. She lives 7 hours drive away. She would say things like it feels like the wrong parent died, and that she had been waiting for him to pass so we could finally spend more time with her, and that she had been keeping her mouth shut the entire time he was sick. About 6 years he had cancer before he passed, and that I'm not the kid she thought she had, and I should just get over it already. Needless to say, it's a touchy subject for us. I had to swallow all of this and never got a real apology for it so we could have a relationship. So I told her all of this, and she responded that he is dead and she is still alive, and if I feel that way she will just cancel the whole wedding. I asked her if she can just acknowledge my feelings about it, and why does she want her anniversary on the same day her ex-husband died. She did not, and said if I don't come she is just going to cancel the entire thing. Am I the antagonist if I don't attend? Update: I wish I could respond to every post. Thanks for taking the time to read my story, and your advice is going to help me set a healthy boundary. I guess when you're down one parent it's hard to let go of a toxic parent. I think I'm so used to this from her I don't always see it from an outside perspective. This is normal behavior from her. For me, I will not be attending. I will try to reply where I can. But thank you all very much. Now for the top comments. NTA: I can excuse the date as a coincidence, as it seems like your parents were split up already when your dad died, and the date might not have been at the forefront of her mind, if in mind at all. But a response thereafter is inexcusable. She responded that he is dead and she is still alive, and if I feel that way she will just cancel the whole wedding, is also incredibly manipulative. This ceremony is small enough that there are plenty of other options here. If she hadn't considered the date and is set on it, she could get married without you there. If she hadn't considered it and does want you there, they could move the date. Outright cancelling the whole thing on your attendance is a move to force you into going when you're clearly not comfortable doing so. This isn't moving tens of thousands of dollars and hundreds of people around. The venue will still be there, and the people, all 10 of them, can come some other time. NTA: call her bluff. If she cancels, she cancels, but make sure everyone knows what she said. Don't allow her to bait you. Your mom intentionally planned for that day to snub out the memory of your dad. In 365 days, she could have chosen any other date. She's cruel and a narcissist. She's doing that to force Op to go. Don't go and cut contact with this witch of a mother. NTA: am I the antagonist for selling shared items my roommate and I use, but I own? For some context, I need to break my current lease about 3 months early. My roommate has known about this for 5-6 months as my fiance, and I need to move to a new state. When my fiance and I started planning this, I told my roommate immediately, giving him about 5-6 months of notice. He asked what I planned on doing with all the items I brought in. I informed him that I planned on selling them. This includes the washer and dryer. Our unit didn't come with any dining room table, 2 couches, a recliner, TV stand, and media shelf. He had asked if I could leave some of the stuff with him. I offered to sell them to him, but he protested, saying that isn't fair. I bought these items myself, not asking for any money from my past or current roommates to split them. Fast forward to now. I posted everything up for sale and items are gaining traction and selling quickly. The first things to go were the washer and dryer. When my roommate saw they were gone he got upset again, asking what the FK am I supposed to do. I told him he could buy the other items if he would like, and reminded him I told him I was going to sell everything when the move came closer. He again thinks I should just leave them for free. A new layer is that his mom has messaged me on Facebook asking what I'm doing and asking if I can leave stuff for him. Keep in mind my roommate is a 27-year-old man. I was polite and told her that I gave her son about 5-6 months of notice, and that prior to my move my intention was to sell everything I brought in. But I did give him first bids privileges that he denied. Am I the antagonist for selling shared items my roommate and I use, but I own? Now for the top comments. NTA my old roommate tried to pull the same crap with me. I owned 90% of our apartment stuff minus things in his room. When I moved, it was obvious I was going to take my stuff and not leave anything behind. He actually claimed he had part ownership in my things, like pots and pans, because he cleaned and took care of them. I told him to get bent. Dear Lord, I worked for a handicapped van manufacturer years ago. Under your old roommate's logic, I should own a fleet of handicapped vans because I cleaned and maintained them. NTA shared or not, if you purchase the items and are the owner of these items you have every right to sell them. This right here, I simply cannot wrap my head around people commenting that she is tar. She purchased or brought with her these items. They are hers. What is so hard about that? He is a grown-ass man, at least physically. If he wants those items, he can buy them himself, just like she did. They are roommates, not a dating couple. Shares. Am I the antagonist for demanding to use my brother's stuff? I, F15, have a brother, M16. My parents always buy him stuff, computer, tablet, violin etc. But when I ask them for the same stuff they always answer with we'll buy you the same thing next year when you turn the same age, or we can't afford to right now, so we'll buy you one later, but they never do. Last night I had to do a school project, but because I didn't have a computer I couldn't. I usually borrow someone's, a family member like a cousin, laptop for these stuff, but this time everyone needed this so no one would give me. I got so angry and frustrated that I started yelling at them, telling them if they don't let me share his stuff I'm gonna break his computer. I'm not gonna do it though, probably. My parents think him being irrational and an R because these are his stuff. If he doesn't want to share with you then he doesn't have to. I think they are the R's, because if they can't buy two of the same thing then they should buy one for both of us, not just for him. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA, if they truly do not buy you the equivalent items when you turn the relevant age, what do they expect you to do? You need to use a computer to get your schoolwork done. If they can only afford one, you two sharing only makes sense. I'd try to sit down and have a serious convo with your parents about this when you're not already fighting with them or your brother. Either they need to buy you your own laptop, etc. or you need to split time with your brother. I would make a list with all the items they bought for your brother but didn't buy for you, and all the promises they made about what you would get that they broke. Maybe seeing it written down will make them realize how it has piled up over the years. And tell them that you need access to a computer for school, and if they don't give you one, they will be responsible if you fail. Be calm and rational during the discussion, that will help. NTA, your parents should teach you brother to share and buy you a laptop for school, since it is an important thing. Threaten to break it though achieves the opposite. Edit. Thanks for the updates, I'm shocked how many they are. I'm not gonna break it really, I was just very angry and tired of begging people to let me borrow their laptop. NTA, don't ever threaten to break things. For at least two reasons. First, it lets them paint you as irrational and prone to violence, so don't hand them this weapon. Second, if they are doing this intentionally, it gives them the win because they got to you. If you want to be maliciously compliant, you could stay at school and do your assignments in the school or community library. The variability with which you'll need a ride/get home late will definitely push buttons. If you don't, then as another poster said, you can maybe get a loaner from school. Ask your counselor if your situation rises to the level of interest that will get the school/community social workers involved. It may or may not depending on where you live. But if you do get your parents dragged out in public, it / will have repercussions in how they treat you. You should be ready for however you expect them to react. But pad your estimate a bit to the worse end for safety. Be nonchalant and don't let them see you angry or afraid. Ever. Am I the antagonist for complimenting a friend of mine making my fiance jealous? Tar and fake names. I've, 29 male, known my good friend Sarah, 29F, since we were both 7 years old. We grew up together and were very close. Sarah is very beautiful and stylish. She's working as a bridal consultant and a stylist, and she's into the fashion industry, so her sense of style is immaculate. My fiance Jane, 27F, is a lawyer. She has a more casual chic style, while Sarah has a more glamorous style. And I realize how both women's works and lifestyles also affect their sense of style. For the record, I adore my fiance. I've been with her since she was 20 and I was 22. Proposed to her a year ago, and she's the nicest and most supportive woman I've ever met. So before anyone says I may be attracted to Sarah over my fiance, remember this. Sarah is a good friend, but we are not compatible to work as a couple at all. Her life goals do not align with mine, and her lifestyle is exhausting for me. While Jane on the other hand and I are compatible in every aspect. Sarah is what we'd call conventionally attractive, while Jane has a more unique kind of beauty. Sarah is the kind of woman who will make everyone turn their heads and just stare at her whenever she enters a room. She's always been like that. Jane didn't seem to mind at first, but later on she started getting bothered whenever I over-complimented Sarah, but still didn't make a big deal out of it. A friend of Sarah and I got engaged over the weekend and had his engagement party to his new fiancée. Sarah was invited, so was I with my wife. As always, once Sarah walked in, everyone turned to look at her. It was one of the best outfits she'd wear and one of the best hairstyles she'd have. I went to greet her and I couldn't stop complimenting her all night long because she truly outdid herself. I noticed Jane sitting alone later and I went to ask her what's wrong. She replied that I'm ridiculous for asking, as if I don't know already. Then my friend's new fiance and my friend pulled me to the side and told me that they had spotted my fiance crying in the hallway a while ago, and she told them that she feels like she's never going to be as good and pretty as Sarah in my eyes, and she feels humiliated and jealous. My friend's fiance also told me that what Sarah wore to the engagement party was beyond inappropriate, but she wouldn't say anything because she doesn't want to stir drama, and that at some point Sarah needs to stop trying to have all the attention to herself, constantly trying to overshadow everyone. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. I went to greet her and I couldn't stop complimenting her all night long because she truly outdid herself. Weird. You greet for a minute or two, not all night. WTF Opus. Where was your wife? OHH, you were told where she was, which was crying. I wish my fiancé would pretend like my feelings are irrational. That's a dreamscape. AITA. No wonder your fiancé feels down in the dumps about herself. Did you fawn all over her like you did your friend? Did you tell her she looked beautiful? Anything? It's also interesting you didn't notice she was upset to the point of crying until someone else had to clue you in. You were too busy obsessing over another woman. AITA. It's one thing to compliment someone, it's another to dwell on how awesome they look all night. You know it bothers your fiancé, yet you do it anyway. That's a dick move. He even said that Jane didn't have an issue with Sarah at first, until Op created the issue by repeatedly telling both girls how gorgeous just Sarah is. Op also admits in the comments that after Jane repeatedly told him how inappropriate he's behaving, he still makes sure to compliment Sarah's looks every time they get together. You're the a-hole. Am I the antagonist for not wanting to help my BO siblings and their kids? I'll try to keep this short. I, 27 male, was born into a shitty and fucked up BO family. BO parents didn't want kids, but kept having them. They were on drugs, liked to drink and party, and were reckless and wild. They had 7 kids. I was the second youngest. When I was 6, my best friend's mom essentially welcomed me as one of her kids. And my best friend and his younger brother became my brothers in every way, except blood, and she became my mom. I spent hardly any time with my BO family, and when I was with them, I simply watched them do drugs, steal each other's drugs, and argue over the drugs they had. My BO family were all in and out of jail. Usually there was no food, so my BO siblings went hungry, and I would just wait to leave and go back to my real family. My mom never adopted me, but she's the woman I still think of as mom. She had been a single mom, and it was tough for her, but she never made me feel like I wasn't hers. I lost her when I was 17, and even then she included me in inheriting from her. And because of her I was able to survive in the world. I found my place. I had a real family. I'm in a good place now. I live with my girlfriend, and I'm close to my brothers. BO siblings found me recently and all their lives are shit. 3 of them have kids they can't take care of, and they wanted my help. I turned them away. I have no desire to be part of their lives, and I don't want them fucking up mine. I don't consider them family any more than I consider my BO parents family. BO siblings tried using their kids to talk me around, but it didn't move me. They said I was an asshole, and that I should be helping them out, since I had a better start than they did, and that I got all the luck, while life fucked them over again and again. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA, blood isn't everything, and you've successfully escaped your BO family and their awful life decisions. Don't let them drag you back in. I would call CPS though. Don't let another generation of kids grow up in the same drug-infested world you did. Definitely never give them money. You might consider watching the kids occasionally and getting to know them to see if you can help them break the cycle. If you call CPS enough, they may contact you and advise you to go to court and take the children. The standard is lower for a family member to gain custody than for CPS to. I'm raising a great niece and great nephew. Although it can be difficult, it is also rewarding. NTA, you are not an ATM. You are not responsible for how other people's lives turned out, and you certainly owe no one anything. This is why the blocking option is the greatest thing invented. I love this. You are not an ATM. Apostrophe. Am I the antagonist for refusing to get rid of my 2 dogs for my husband's allergic love child? My husband had a one-night stand. After much counseling I decided to forgive him and work on our marriage. Unfortunately the woman got pregnant, and they now have a 3-year-old boy. I have 2 5-year-old French bulldogs whom I and my 2 kids with my husband, 14F and 9 male. Unfortunately, being short-hair dogs, these kind tend to produce the most reaction in those who are allergic. I was fully prepared to welcome this child into my home with open arms and be the best stepmother I could possibly be, as the child is innocent and he is the little brother of my 2 children. My husband has visitation every other weekend. Unfortunately, this child is highly allergic to dogs, and his mother is demanding that we get rid of the dogs. These dogs have been with me through thick and thin. They were there with me when I suffered severe depression over my husband cheating, and my kids adore them too. I absolutely refuse to get rid of these dogs. I told my husband he can either do the visitation at a hotel, get a second apartment for him and his son, or we can build an in-law unit at his expense above the garage. But I told him my only stipulations are that this comes out of his own pocket. He may not dip into our kids' college funds and the dogs stay. Because the child is so young, he doesn't understand why he's not allowed to come to the house and feels left out as a result. Am I the antagonist for refusing to get rid of my dogs because my husband cheated when he was hemming and hawing because he wanted to be all things to all people? I told him I will divorce him well before I do away with the dogs. Now for the top comments. I told him I will divorce him well before I do away with the dogs. It might be time to just rip the band-aid off, not the a-hole. It all falls on him. I do not blame Op. Especially she's offered plenty of compromises. I can't call the kid's mom one either. It's more than fair of her to say her kid can't go somewhere that would risk his life. And we don't know if she knew she was the other woman or not. The husband created this mess. He needs to handle it, and frankly, if he's doing this and the kid is only 3, I'm all for divorce. NTA, your husband needs to figure out the logistics at his own expense. That doesn't involve you having to get rid of your dogs. You've given him plenty of viable options. The dogs, kids and op also shouldn't be punished. Further, for the husband's mistake, I feel for the kid, but it's up to his dad to find a solution.